How do you heal from abuse and trauma? You open yourself to the light. You're listening to Inspire Me with Jay, where science meets spirit and stories of meditation and the near death experience awaken what's possible within us all. I'm Jay, and this is your moment to be inspired. Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. I'm your host, Jay Spillers, and today we're just going to be talking about, is it possible to heal from abuse, trauma, and even just regular pain, emotionally and spiritually? And what's been focusing a lot of my time lately and is I've really been focusing a lot on the Epstein files and some of the darker stuff that doesn't make the mainstream media. There's a lot of stuff on social media that are in those files that are being discussed on social media that are very dark, very disturbing, way beyond old men taking advantage of teenage girls, way beyond that. At the core of it, Epstein and a lot of the people that were there were practicing Satanism. Not necessarily everyone that went to Epstein Island or that engaged in crimes was a Satanist, but he was a Satanist, and many of the people around him were Satanists. And the level of depravity and darkness is horrifying. I'm talking murder, torture, human sacrifice, blood sport, just some incredible things. So dark that if you focus too much on it, you can really become very disturbed. And so I've been struggling with it a lot lately. It's kind of like you get obsessed about it, you know? It's sort of like when you see a bad accident, it's hard to divert your eyes. It's kind of like that, you know, and it's very easy for us to get caught up in sort of the dark mentality, that dark way of looking at things, you know. Sometimes it could be more innocent things like, you know, people that like to watch horror flicks. But some people really get into the darkness, and that's where a lot of conspiracy theories draw in people. That we're kind of finding out that a lot of these conspiracy theories, you know, some of them may be exaggerated, they're overstated, there may be some falsities there, but there's like usually, as we're finding out, there's a core of truth in a lot of it. But I've kind of come to the conclusion the past few days, because I've been so obsessed about it, that, okay, I need to focus back on the light. I need to take a detox the next few days from all of the darkness, all of the negativity. And I need to focus back on the light, back on positivity. And you know, a lot of people are like, okay, well, we'll focus on this darkness, and it's got to get out. And it does got to get out. I understand that. But the question I always come back to, ultimately, even after I get obsessed for a while, is like, okay, well, we know what the darkness is. We see it. We're hearing about it. What can we do about it? You know, how do we make things better? How do we help people heal from trauma and abuse related to any of this darkness? Because, you know, otherwise it's just, you know, it's just basically a type of it's a type of just voyeurism, essentially, where you're just sort of like viewing darkness, you know. and it can kind of lay a heaviness on your soul. Because I mean, sure, a lot of people watching the darkness, are not that way, and it's like, because they're not that way, they're like, they don't understand why this level of darkness and depravity exists. I'm kind of there, but it's like, we need to sort of like go beyond just what's going on to how do we make things better? How do we help people heal? How do we move forward? And that's kind of what we're doing today, because we're going to talk about helping people to heal from trauma and abuse. And, a lot of people, will have trauma and abuse in their life, and this was sort of came to me in a meditation, was, you might meet someone that has experienced satanic ritual abuse, been sexually abused or physically abused, or, who knows what. They exist, they're out there, and maybe you're one of them. But the reality is you're more likely to encounter someone that just experienced regular abuse that had no connection to Satanism, maybe at the hands of a loved one. And there's sexual abuse, there's physical abuse, and there's emotional abuse. And emotional abuse captures a lot of us, probably much more than the first two. And you've probably met someone like that who's suffered one of these three types of abuses, and probably to some extent, at least on the emotional level, you've experienced it yourself, to varying degrees. So it's like, how do we heal from that? How do we move past that? And I think, why are these things coming forward? I think one of the things is, like I've been talking about for a long time, is there's a spiritual awakening going on. And part of the awakening, when the light is shown, you see the darkness that's dissipating. You see the darkness that was there. So it's like, part of what the awakening has to happen is we have to see the world for what it really is. We can't dwell completely in that darkness, but we have to see it. And then we have to move forward, and then we have to shine the light, and we have to start healing. And that's part of the awakening. So I think what's happening now is part of the awakening, and it's like, even some of the distractions themselves are part of the awakening, like the Trump basically coming out and saying aliens are real. It's like, yeah, they are real. And that's part of the awakening too, is that realizing that we're not the only ones in the universe. It's used primarily as a distraction, but it's true. And it's part of the awakening too. So it's like, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that we're starting to learn about. That's part of the awakening. And I wish I could tell you that the spiritual awakening is all sunshine, roses, rainbows, and puppy dogs, but it's not. And some of this stuff is having to confront some very deep and dark things. So just bear that in mind, that in a sense it's good because it's part of the spiritual awakening. So back to my point is, can we heal from this? And the reality is yes. And it's like, I've seen people heal through the near-death experience, where people die, they stand before the light, and the light just cleanses them, transforms them, and then they come back totally transformed. That can happen. And what's interesting too is that a lot of the people that die, that are murdered and have lived horrible lives of abuse, when they get to the other side, they get to experience peace and love and compassion. So it's like, I think that's one thing that we need to kind of remind ourselves about, is that even when their life was taken from them in a horrible way, that other person is now in heaven, able to experience love and compassion and kindness, and is now in a better state than we are, who never even had these things. Which it's not a rationalization for what occurred, but it's to give us a certain sense of hope and peace that ultimately everything works for God's glory, it works for the good. Ultimately, everything is turned around and serves the mission of love and helps, and what people will eventually experience love. And that's really important. It's kind of interesting too, is that I've seen a few near-death experiences where they talk about essentially like hospitals on the other side, which is kind of a weird concept, but they describe them like hospitals because when people die and they've lived traumatic lives and they're still traumatized, they may need extra TLC, extra tender loving care, beyond just the flow of love and light, so that they go in these places and that they have sort of like mega doses of love and compassion from other people and angels and whatnot, so that they can have like a special healing, because they may need it beyond just the usual love and light that we all experience when we get in front of the light. And so there's places of healing, and maybe a hospital is not the greatest word. There's places of healing. Maybe you think of more as like a healing spa, in a sense, more in a positive sense, because hospitals don't always have a positive connotation, but maybe it's more of like a heavenly spa for those that need just a little bit more TLC, So the core principle that needs to occur for you to start healing is that you need to open yourself up to the light, and call it God, call it the source, recognize it as Jesus. That's what you have to do. And one thing I used to love to do too, that's kind of related to near-death experiences, I used to love to listen to a program called Unshackled. And there were people that lived, lives of crime, or had drug addiction or abuse and this and that. And then they had a profound transformation because they asked Christ to come into their life, and they were like broken and, just totally broken down. And then they were just like filled with the light, and it's like everything just changed. That can happen. That does happen, but it goes back to that point of how do they get there? At some point, they open themselves up to the light. They open themselves up to the divine, to God, to Christ. And then it's like things can change, and it's not to say that once you start opening up that you will automatically get an instant healing, but at least you can start to heal. Some people, it will be instantaneous and dramatic. Some people, it'll be more subtle and gradual, but you can heal. And part of this is, in addition to opening up, is just simply believing that the healing is possible. So there's essentially 5 things that came to my mind when we're talking about healing modalities to allow yourself to open up to God, to the light that you can do. And some of them are going to be like, wow, I'd never thought of that. I've never heard of that. But, the first one, and I personally, because I teach it, I think this one's probably the most important. The first one is meditation. And, under this umbrella of meditation, there's kind of several different submodalities that I kind of label under meditation, because essentially you're taken into the highly relaxed state where you have a certain awareness, and then you can start to heal, and sometimes it can take the form of just what we call regular meditation and guided meditation, and just various forms of meditation. But sometimes there's hypnotherapy. I know someone that does rapid transformational therapy, and there's neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and all these things. And there's Kundalini, and there's like a ton of things. But where do they all go? How do they all get you there? They all have to get you there in a meditative state, sometimes what we call a trance state, where your brain waves go into a different mode of consciousness. Like during the waking hours, like right now as I'm speaking to you, and we're in just regular waking time, you're generally on the beta wavelength, but we need to get you to alpha, which is a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more open. And then if we can get you to theta, even better, which is deeper. And of course, delta's sleeping, but even delta, mixed in with some of these others, can be healing in itself. And then there's also gamma, which you can start to have dramatic insights and creativity and things like that. So we want to get you to some of these other altered states of consciousness. And that's where the meditative modality fits in, whether it's regular meditation or one of these other related healing modalities. And, there's a myriad of ways that meditation can open you up to the light. Sometimes they can take you in kind of a therapeutic direction, like the one that does rapid transformational therapy. They kind of go in there and work a lot with your past, your inner child, and some of the traumas and hurts you've had, and kind of helping you forgive yourself and kind of healing from that. It's kind of, in some sense, kind of like what you get in a lot of regular therapy. But of course, the benefit is you're in a meditative state. And when you're in that highly relaxed state, your conscious mind kind of goes down a little bit. And then you can kind of go to a lower level where you're relaxed and you can heal easier, because it's sort of like the wall is sort of eased a bit, and then you can go in there and start to heal more rapidly, hence the name. And some of these other therapies like NLP, they have kind of similar ways of doing things, So, that's one modality that you can use within meditation. One healing technique within the meditation framework is to go in there and sort of heal traumatic events from your life, whether it was a child or when you were a younger adult or teen or whatever. And you can do that. Is this the only way to heal? To go back into your past and say, oh, this happened, and then comfort your child and kind of work through it that way? Is that the only way you can heal? I don't think it's the only way you can heal, because I think sometimes simply going into a deep enough relaxed state where basically your nervous system can then begin to be rewired, and then you can sort of get so relaxed that your body can then start to heal, your physical body, but then your soul and your spirit can start to heal too. And it's like when you have this higher awareness combined with a deep relaxation, you can start to heal. And sometimes it's just when you get to profound relaxation, and that's kind of what I'm working on right now, is I have a meditation technique that I'm writing a book on, and I'm going to put together hopefully in a course. It's It's basically called the Tranquility Zone meditation, taking you to a deeper state of relaxation than what you might even get in normal meditation, most forms of meditation. And it's there that you can just start to heal, and there's other healing techniques within meditation that kind of focus on that deep relaxation. That I've had guests on here talking about yoga nidra, and yoga nidra is a really great way to get to that deep relaxation where then you can start to heal body, soul, and spirit, so that you can start to heal all those different things. So meditation is probably one of the most important things. And, we were talking about people with NDEs, coming back profoundly healed. Well, you don't have to have an NDE. One of the ways that can, in many cases, somewhat replicate the NDE, not completely, is different forms of meditation. And, that's why a lot of people that have had NDEs, they start meditating because they're like, well, this is kind of the closest I can get back to the light is when I'm able to meditate. So it's like for us people who haven't had a near-death experience, 95% of the population, this is something that, we should consider, because this is going to get us to that cathartic therapeutic state where we can begin to heal and deep relaxation and openness to the light, and then for the 5%, they already know about it, and many of them do meditation, so that's the first healing modality to get you to open to the light, is through meditation. And that's essentially what Kundalini is, when you have a profound experience through the meditation process. And there's ways of people attempt to elicit Kundalini, but sometimes Kundalini just happens. It can happen through profound meditation or near-death experience, STE-like experience, spiritually transformative experience. We have something kind of similar to a Kundalini, or a Kundalini itself, depending on how things are interpreted. So you've got meditation. What's another healing modality? Well, prayer. And prayer is good because it's one of the most straightforward ways to open yourself to the light, because you just, and the more sincere you are, the more powerful prayer is going to work for you. That when you open your heart in sincerity, God, I need your help. God, I want to heal. God, help me to heal. Bring me the love and the peace. Change my life. Make me the kind of person I know I want to be. I know you want me to be. And it comes from the heart. It can be transformative. And we're talking way beyond, rub-a-dub-dub, bless the grub, oh yay God. We're talking way beyond that. It has to be the heartfelt prayer. And sometimes the heartfelt prayer can take time, it doesn't always have to take hours and hours. Sometimes when you're very emotional and you pray, you can experience power from that prayer, because there's essentially two states that people can experience quick, powerful transformation. The first way is through deep emotion. That sometimes when people have that spiritually transformative experience, they're put in a deep emotional state, and then they can heal. And that's kind of like what you see in Tony Robbins, like where he's able to get transformation. One of the techniques he does is he gets people excited. He gets people, on the edge of their seats. He gets people yelling. He gets people screaming. He gets people animated, because it's like in that state, you can profoundly change yourself. You can experience healing, transformation. You can become the kind of person you want to be. He knows that, and that's why he's using it, And so that's one way to do it, is through the deep emotional energy. And then the second way, of course, is the profound relaxation, like we were talking about in meditation, And prayer can kind of, depending on where you are, can kind of tap into both. Because sometimes people can be having like very emotional moments and then experience transformation. Or they could be praying in a very still sense within their being, very akin to meditation, and then receive transformation. So prayer can tap into both of the aspects of the deep emotion and the deep, relaxed, still state. And prayer is a very direct way to just, get in there and say, God, please heal me, please change me, please whatever. So meditation's the first one, healing modality. Prayer. A third one is being inspired, reading, focusing on absorbing inspirational things. This could be reading and studying scripture, one of the best ways. This can be reading and studying, listening to near-death experiences, because that's sort of a secondhand way people are healed and are changed, is through listening to numerous near-death experiences, because sometimes they can be so amazing that just hearing them can change people. And there's a lot of people in near-death experience groups that never had near-death experiences, but they're experiencing transformation kind of secondhand just by absorbing all of the wonderful experiences that others have shared. I'm one of those people myself, because I've never had a direct NDE. I've had an OBE where I was kind of out of my body, but never really had a near-death experience. So I get a lot of benefit from these inspirational stories, these inspirational things, and and it can be other things besides scripture and whatnot. So you've got prayer, you've got meditation, you've got inspiration. Another way you can do it is just by acting in kindness, acting in love. That can sort of transform you. That can be a healing process too. Just by showing forth love, showing forth compassion, can be one of the most therapeutic experiences for spiritual and emotional healing. And this isn't to say that this is what saves you, but that it opens you up to God like the other experiences do. And when you're open, you're able to receive the healing. And a lot of times it's a byproduct of a transformed life too. Like someone is transformed, becomes greater, with greater love and compassion, then they start to take action through those different things. So that's 4 ways to do it. A 5th thing is that you need to make connections with others. And This could include going to church, being in fellowship with other people, in a religious, spiritual body. It can be things like, if you have substance abuse, AANA, finding ways to connect to others. And, what's interesting is they've found that one of the biggest indicators of whether you have addiction or not, or whether you will become addicted, or whether you'll be able to get out of addiction, is connection. Because those that have the connection are less likely to get an addiction in the first place, and they're the most likely to come out of it. And I think that's one of the powers of like AANA, is that, yes, they got a wonderful program, 12 steps, and I think the 12 steps are incredibly helpful. But what may be more powerful than the 12 steps itself is the connection that people have with each other. They have this support. And that's sort of opening up to the light in a less direct sense, in that you open up to other people and you're opening up to the divine itself. And I think a lot of times when people really get connected to church, really get connected to their family, if they ever face a trauma, they're able to heal and cope better. And, maybe you don't have any family, but find ways to connect. Maybe you go to a church, and maybe the first church you go to isn't the right one, but you might find another church and keep going to one. Find one that really feels like home, with people you can really connect to. And this can be one healing modality, because I think that's part of another reason why, like you hear these stories, like I was saying about Unshackled, where people are profoundly transformed, that they have their initial experience, but then they go get in a church and they've got all this connection and support and love, that it sort of keeps them on track beyond just the initial experience. So having that connection is really profoundly important. I think that's probably why a lot of people have mental health crisis today, because we're so isolated. We don't have the connections. People don't go to church as much as they used to. Families are breaking up. Civic organizations aren't as important as they used to be in people's lives. So it's like all these different things, our support systems, our connections are breaking down. And that's what you need to get connected into, because they still exist. There's still many wonderful churches. And you may still be able to find other people in your family connect to, even if it's not your immediate. And there's still wonderful civic organizations and whatnot. So let's review the 5 things. Meditation, prayer, inspiration like scriptures, NDE, connection, and then the 5th one was to reach out with love and kindness towards others. It can be a formal type of thing where, you volunteer at a soup kitchen or something like that, but it can just be like random acts of kindness, or intentionally trying to show greater kindness towards those around you. So greater kindness in your life, those 5 things. Now, the question comes up is, so those that are abused, those that are traumatized, those that have faced the pain of life, and this probably includes everybody there, because you've probably experienced some pain in life. Maybe you aren't traumatized, maybe you haven't been abused, but chances are you have some pain in your life that you need to heal from. Maybe you lost a loved one to cancer. Maybe you lost your home a few years ago. Maybe you lost a job that you loved, or I mean, it could be anything, you know. Maybe you lost a pet you loved. I mean, you've all experienced pain. So connecting into these five things can really be helpful. But here's a question. Can those people that abuse, that cause trauma and pain, can they find redemption? Can they find the way into the light too? And the answer is absolutely yes, because this is the ultimate plan, is to reconcile all things together, to bring all things together, because we are all connected to each other. You know, we are all one, and we are all part of God's unconditional love. And here's the thing, and I've talked about this before, we have an authentic self. We have a true self. And within that authentic self, we have perfect love, perfect peace, perfect compassion and kindness and all these things. And nobody's exempt from that. Everybody has an authentic self. Now, some people may be millions of light years away from it. Some people may be having it buried under massive amounts of darkness, but everybody has it. And, you know, because you think, okay, well, Jeffrey Epstein has or had, depending on whether he's alive or not, that's a controversy too, an authentic self. Hitler had an authentic self. They were very far from it. They weren't living in alignment with it, but they had it. And so it's just a matter of inevitably coming back to that authentic self. And here's the reality about hell, both hell now and hell to come, is the state of your soul determines your vibration. And the lower your vibration, the more darkness you're in. So someone like Hitler and Epstein, you know, unless their vibration changes, are vibrating very, very low, you know, into probably outer darkness, you know, like what the Bible talks about, that some weren't just cast in the darkness, but some found themselves in outer darkness. And how do you ultimately get cast? By the vibration of your soul. And this is by just allowing yourself to be absorbed in profound darkness, and then it just takes you down, you know. And it's a long way back from that I believe everything ultimately is reconciled. Ultimately, everybody will be aligned with who they're meant to be. But if you start in outer darkness, it could be a long journey back to anything close to the light, you know. And then even after that, there's the issue of the life review, that when you die, there's an accounting to God, but primarily to yourself as well, that you will experience all the pain and trauma you caused other people. So all of Epstein's victims that he caused pain and trauma to, he will experience it as they experienced it. And not only as they experienced it, but how it affected secondarily family members and loved ones, possibly. So I wouldn't want to be taken, I wouldn't want his life review. I wouldn't want Hitler's life review. So nobody's getting away with anything. That's an important point to point out. And I think when you take into the fact that nobody gets away with anything, there is darkness that people can sink into. There is the life review. where you'll experience the pain you caused others. And then there's the fact that those that were victimized and traumatized will experience profound love and kindness. When you sort of take that together, it's like, okay, it gives me a different perspective that I don't need to be so, focused all the time on it. And it's kind of ironic too, because I was thinking, well, it's not fair that some people that are wealthy, powerful people will never face any consequences on earth. Whereas, Joe Schmo, robs a liquor store and gets 20 years in prison. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't seem right. Joe Schmo probably still deserved his prison time, but why didn't these guys that did much worse things get anything? And I don't think they're really getting an advantage. I don't think that they're really getting mercy. Because think about it this way. When a person is arrested and held accountable in this lifetime, it gives their soul at least an opportunity to say, okay, I've done wrong. It's been acknowledged by others that I've done wrong. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to go in a better direction? Or am I just going to stay here? And some of them do stay there for sure. But at least they're given an opportunity to go in a different direction. Whereas a lot of people that are elites, they just keep doing it and thinking they're invincible, and they never give two thoughts to, should I go in a different direction? Should I live a different way? God can still reach them, but there's less incentive for them to even look to God to change their ways. So in that sense, they're actually not in a very good position. The Joe Schmo that goes to jail for robbing the liquor store, in an ultimate spiritual sense, may end up being better off than Epstein or Hitler or some of these other people. He may actually end up being better off, because he's at least confronted with who he is to some extent by society. So he may be in a better position, So I think we're going to do a meditation in a minute, but I'm just saying, what are some things we can do? It's like, because I'm not a therapist, but there's things I can do. I can pray, I can meditate, I can have connections with people, I can try to show greater kindness, I can fill my mind with inspiration, and I can share it with others. And that's what I'm going to try to do. So, it's a contribution at least I can make, and if you want me to pray for you, or you want more information on meditation, just probably the easiest way for me to see it is to just send me a message, a DM on Facebook, because that's probably where I'd be most likely to see it. But you can email me too, and I think if you go on YouTube, my email is listed there, and Facebook, and different things, and you can try to reach me. But we'll go ahead and do a meditation now. So just go ahead and relax and get comfortable. Just take a few deep breaths. Breathe in deeply through your nose. Hold. Exhale through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through the nose. Hold. Exhale through your mouth. On this next breath, imagine a white light as you breathe in. Hold. This white light brings love, peace, and relaxation to your body. And exhale. Breathe in this white light again, love and peace. Now on this exhale, exhale stress, anxiety, pain. See the white light going again. Breathe in deeply. Exhale pain. Breathe in relaxation. Exhale pain. Taking a few more deep breaths, visualizing love and peace, and then the exhalation of stress. Just keep breathing in deeply, holding for a few seconds, exhaling. Breathe in. And exhale. Taking one final deep breath, breathe in deeply. Hold. Let's hold a little bit longer on this breath. And now exhale and exhale a little bit slower. Let's breathe in normally, comfortably, in and out through your nose. Don't necessarily have to breathe in deep, just breathe in normally, in and out through your nose. Imagine yourself walking through a forest. In the distance you see a clearing. You're walking towards the clearing. You reach the clearing. There's a beautiful garden that you enter into. There's all kinds of fruit trees, green grass, beautiful blue sky, clouds, patches of clouds. It's warm, it's sunny. And in this garden is other people, all ages, from young children to the elderly and everyone in between. Men, women, boys and girls. People of different races and ethnicities. They're all at peace, they're enjoying the environment. Many of these people had experienced abuse, trauma, stress, pain. But in this space, it's safe. This garden is a safe space for them. And now it is for you. And you find yourself welcomed by the people here, and by the animals that are here. There's cats and dogs running around the garden, helping to bring peace and compassion to the people. Bringing therapy and whatever they need emotionally. Allow your body to just relax in this place. Allow your head to relax, your shoulders, your stomach and your back, your thighs, your knees, your lower legs, your feet, your toes. Start to feel relaxation within them. Allow your body and your mind to feel at ease, to feel comfortable, to feel tranquility and serenity in this place. This is going to be a place of healing for you. Find yourself seated on the grass. And in this seated position, just imagine that a light is coming down towards you from above, from the sky. It's enveloping you. It's bringing you peace and joy, and comfort. Allow yourself to open up to this light. You may call this light God or Source, may represent Christ, but just open yourself up to this light for healing, for transformation. I want you to think of a traumatic experience or painful experience in your childhood. Whatever that may be for you. And just give this to the light. Visualize the light just taking it. It's dissolving into the light. Whatever this issue is for you, it's dissolving into the light. And the light is replacing it with compassion and love. Now go to another traumatic event, maybe when you were a teenager. You know what that experience was? Just give that to the light too. See it going out from you and dissolving into the light. It's dissolving into the light, and as that's happening, the light is enveloping you with love, with peace. Now think of one more traumatic experience from another point in your life, maybe when you became an adult at some point. And just give that experience to the light. See it dissolve in the light, and love and compassion flow from the light back to you. It's very cathartic. And if there's any other traumas or pain, abuse that comes to your mind right now, take a few moments and just release it into the light. See it dissolve, and then see the light replacing it with love, compassion, kindness, flowing down like a waterfall. Now I want you to focus on a time where you caused someone pain, maybe even trauma or abuse. Maybe you meant to, maybe you didn't mean to, but you did. It could be a cruel word you said to someone, heartlessness. It could be something you did physically to someone, or whatever, any other kind of abuse. Just give that to the light right now. You've probably carried a lot of guilt and shame for it. See that experience melting into the light, being taken from you, being forgiven, being absolved. That's essentially what forgiveness is, to absolve. See that being dissolved in the light right now, and it being replaced with showers of love, tranquility, compassion. Would you recognize that within your authentic self, that's not the essence of who you are or who you were? Now, to the people that did harm you, think of those people that caused you pain and trauma. Let any resentment just flow into the light and be dissolved. You know, part of forgiveness isn't just about forgiving them, but it's releasing it from you. So, yes, forgiveness is good for them because it absolves, but it's good for you because it releases those negative emotions you have towards people. So whatever the resentment, the anger, the hatred you have towards others who hurt you, just see those different experiences going into the light and being dissolved and being replaced by love and compassion, showering down from the light. Just take a few moments in the light. Now, before we close out, just allow the light to return back to the sky and see the garden, see the people, see the animals, see the connection to the others, and start to think of ways that I can find healing in my day-to-day life. I start meditating maybe. I start praying. I start getting into inspirational material, flooding my mind and my soul with uplifting things, scriptures. I get connection with others, finding ways to connect. I show love and kindness towards others. And in that, I continue the healing process for me. Think of ways you can do that before we close out. Now we're going to close out, but before we do, I want you to know that you can always return to this garden in the forest, and it can be your safe space with people and pets and other animals that love you. And the light is here for you. Open yourself to the light. Open yourself to the divine. Find your healing. Let's take in one final deep breath. Breathe in deeply through your nose. Hold. And exhale. Now you may either open your eyes, or you may just stay in this meditative state for a few more minutes, several more minutes even. Listen to the music and the environmental sounds if you want. And I thank you for joining me.